Marcia's on Zoom. I don't know if you heard that. Okay.
We'll go ahead and get started with this afternoon's agenda meeting. This afternoon, we will be reviewing the action items that will be formally addressed next Tuesday, October 15th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. I'll call upon our city manager, Mr. Burrow, to review those action items. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. You will have a proclamation that evening with a guest from Director Webb. Moving into your consent agenda, your first order of business.
Hold on.
Oh.
This is for next week? I sent in an,
You said it didn't get on the agenda. She's working on it.
oh, she told me it would be.
I think the mayor has to review that. Have you sent the proclamation?
Oh, Sheila doesn't have the proclamation.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's this is 4-H month,
4-H.
and it's the 4-H agent over here that's coming with some 4-H students.
Very good. Thank you. So you have possibly
Sarah.
2 proclamations that evening. All right, moving into the consent agenda. Your first order is consider Resolution R-24-177, a resolution acknowledging receipt of the City of Hot Springs financial statements for August 2024, and our Finance Director, Karen Scott, will present.
Good afternoon. As you all know, monthly financial statements are issued to keep city management and constituents apprised of the financial condition of the City of Hot Springs. The August 2024 financial statements will be linked to the board action request, and staff recommends acknowledging receipt of the August 2024 financial statements.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is consider Resolution R-24-178, a resolution accepting a donation of certain real property located at 111 Patriot Street from Jeffrey and Sherry Malinowski, and Ron Seabright, our Public Works Director, will discuss the item. Ron?
Good afternoon. So this is a donation of real property, 111 Patriot Street. A title search has been conducted to confirm ownership and note any issues. The property is located inside the floodplain. The property owners are willing to donate the property to the city so that the city can remove the structure and restore the property back to the natural floodplain. They have executed a special donation deed that will be recorded upon approval of the donation. Natural floodplains provide flood risk reduction benefits by slowing runoff and storing flood water.
Any questions of Ron? Thank you.
Next, we have Resolution R-24-179, a resolution authorizing a contract for professional engineering services with Brown Engineering LLC for the SCADA system components and integration at the Gulfa Basin Sewer Pump Station on Catherine Heights Road in the amount of $108,320. And our city engineer, Gary Carnahan, is here to discuss the item. And I believe Todd will present at the meeting, but Gary's here tonight.
That's correct. Thank you. So that was a good description Bill just read. As you know, we're building about a $10 million new pump station over on Gulf Creek to resolve the wastewater issues we've had there. And so this is an important part of that whole project, is to be able to then connect that pump station, the tank levels, the pump run times, and all that to our control center, remote control center using our SCADA system. And Brown Engineering will furnish the hardware and the design, the panels at the control center to integrate all that together with our other pump stations that we have there. So we'll be asking then at the board meeting for you to approve this contract for $108,320.
Very good. Any questions? Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Can you describe again, Mr. Gary, what it is that their task is?
Right.
I missed
They
that.
ha-
Is it, I heard you mention something about a computer hard drive.
Right, yeah, they have the software that we use with all of our pump stations. So it's all compatible. It's connected to our city, through our city computer IS system. And then they furnish the racks in the in the control center with the hardware, the computers that send the signals and get it wired up properly to go to the control center, so that Bobby Harris and others can watch those things from their offices, basically.
Would that be a task that your department can't do or don't have the means to do?
We're not
Like, why are we hiring?
electronic, no, we don't know how to do that.
Okay.
Honestly. Those are very specialized skill, electrical engineering, electronics, things like that.
Director Garcia?
I wanted, it's my understanding that this engineering firm has been, since we went to the SCADA system, has been the one go-to company for maintaining that, and they track it and take care of it on an ongoing basis. Is that
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Yeah.
That is correct. And not just our wastewater system, but water.
Right.
So, yeah, right, they understand all how that works together. It's important that we use common parts and easily replace parts. And they also are available to our operators if they want to customize the way they look at a board or a panel or a screen. Then Brown Engineering has helped them do that so that what they're looking at makes sense to them and gives them the best information they need for reporting and operations.
I understand it's all integrated, and Brown is the one that actually set us up originally for
Right.
this system.
They kind of created it and maintain it.
I bring that question up because the thing that pops off to me is it's, the engineering department that's seeking a contract with an engineering department. So if it's a task that was doable by our city, I don't doubt for a second that you would do it. But if it's something that's long-term, could it be maybe a job description that could be put into place for training in the future? Why is it that we've got a contract out for it?
It's a very specialized field. When you're talking about your electrical PLC switches, your FD on your drives, your pumps, your motors. When you go into one of our facilities and you look at a screen and it's got every one of our water tanks and how those flow, how they interact with each other, that's what these people design and build. And we don't have the ability to do that, and we couldn't afford it.
They know how to go into a computer and change out boards and motherboards and things that I don't know how to do, kind of like your car. We don't know how to fix our cars anymore.
Okay, any further questions? Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Next, we have Resolution R-24-180, a resolution setting a time and date for a hearing to abandon and close an unnamed right-of-way located in Block 14 of El Dorado subdivision in Hot Springs, Garland County, Arkansas, and I believe our city clerk, Harmony, will present.
Yes, thank you. Let me put these up here for you. So the petitioners are John, Judith, Jared, and Vicky Mutter. Yes, they're all related. And they all own parcels that are contained within Block 14 of this subdivision. They're seeking to vacate the unnamed right-of-way on your screen that's in the center of this block. They do have some structures that are already located in the right-of-way, so this would somewhat clean that up. City staff has reviewed, and as well as utility providers, and no issues with this have been noted. The resolution before you would set the public hearing for your meeting on Tuesday, November 5th. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions of Harmony? Director Beard?
What district is this?
This is one, I believe?
Yes.
It's off of Spring Street.
Yeah, it's really close on that edge.
Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Any potential to have any type of fiber optics to go into this right away? Or do
No.
we have that going in a different proximity close to it, or?
No,
So
before,
would any of that come up in the future?
before we put this on your agenda, it's circulating throughout all of the departments to make sure that they're not aware of anything that's gonna be there, nothing that's already there. You'll see one probably, later in the agenda where we actually have a sewer line in one of those easements and, or one of those places, and we get an easement when those things happen. But there are no plans to do anything in this particular alleyway.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Next, we have consider Resolution R-24-181, a resolution amending the table of authorized personnel within the Hot Springs Fire Department by reclassifying the fire marshal and assistant fire marshal positions. And Chief Ed Davis with the Hot Springs Fire Department is here to discuss the item. Chief?
Thank you. Good afternoon, directors. Hot Springs Fire Department has been restructuring its administrative section over the past year. The establishment of 2 training officer positions at 3FD2 and assistant chief position at 6FD2 have completed about 60% of the changes that we previously discussed. To complete the process of restructuring, HSFD proposes that the existing fire marshal 5FD2 and assistant fire marshal 4FD2 positions be reclassified. These 2 positions would become 2 fire marshals at 3FD2. The new pay grades would be consistent with the compensation established for the training officers and have fewer administrative functions previously tasked to the 5FD2 fire marshal. These administrative duties have been assumed by the new assistant fire chief, and that allows the new proposed fire marshal positions to concentrate on traditional fire prevention duties. If approved by the Board of Directors, the Civil Service Commission will commence the process of evaluating prospective candidates and ultimately fill the position or positions. The fire marshals will be classified at 3FD2 pay grade with an annual salary of $67,746. Total yearly cost, including salary and benefits, would be $94,850 per fire marshal. Because of the changes to the fire department's organizational structure during 2024, there are enough funds in the budget to establish these positions without a budget amendment.
Any questions of our chief? Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. Is this something that goes to the civil service or has already been to civil service?
They have approved everything that they can up to this point.
Okay.
It takes action by the board for them to continue with the process.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any additional questions?
He went through that pretty quick, but we actually have 2 positions currently, a fire marshal, assistant fire marshal, one at a 5FD2, one at a 4FD2. These 2 positions will be at a 3FD2.
And both of those positions are currently open. They're not occupied by anyone.
Any additional questions?
Yes.
Director Beard?
Do you know who goes into those positions already?
The Civil Service Commission will make that decision. It's open to applicants to be able to apply for it.
They haven't tested yet. There'll be an exam, and whoever qualifies after the exam will sit for an interview. Their scores will be combined on a 70%, 30% weighting, and they'll certify a list, 1 through however many are on the list. Chief will have the option of picking any one of the top 3 on the list.
It's a similar process to what's used for the suppression personnel,
For what personnel?
for the fire suppression personnel. In other words, if you were trying to promote from firefighter to driver, it's a similar process. Not exactly the same, but very similar.
Any additional? Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Chief, would this be just considered in-house, or is it open?
They'll be in-house, sir.
In-house, okay.
And the job description is also included, if you guys want to read that. It kind of gives you the idea of the scope of duties of the position and exactly, what the requirements are for it. Essential duties, responsibilities, qualifications, things of that nature.
They don't have that right now, but it'll be in your packet.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have consider Resolution R-24-182, a resolution approving the purchase of certain real property located at 900 Whittington Avenue and authorizing a budget transfer. Our Deputy City Manager, Denny McFate, will present the item. Denny?
Thank you, Mr. Burrows, and members of the board. The City of Hot Springs must secure a new location for the city's record storage as well as the storage of the downtown holiday displays and lighting. The city records and holiday lighting displays and displays are currently stored on the property of the Old St. Joe Hospital property complex, which is located on Whittington Avenue. The old hospital building, the Pine and Cedar Street wings of the buildings are anticipated to be demolished in late 2025. Therefore, there is a need to relocate the city storage, record storage, and the holiday lights and displays storage before that time. Weyerhaeuser Company has agreed to sell certain property located at 900 Whittington Avenue for $525,000. This property consists of a main campus building and several outbuildings located on approximately 5.69 acres. The entire property is fenced and gated. This parcel consists of the main building complex, which is approximately 15,715 square feet, 3 former greenhouse structures, 2 outbuildings, and an 8-door garage storage building. In addition to satisfying the needs for records storage and holiday decoration storage, the purchase of this property would also allow the city to consolidate certain city departments and thereby free up several different properties for reuse for other purposes, and even eventual ability to sell some of these properties. If purchased, the tentative plan would be to relocate to 900 Whittington, the Parks and Trails Department from 111 Opera Street, the Parks Maintenance Facility from Davison Drive, the Stormwater Department from the Transportation Depot, Neighborhood Services from the Airport Terminal Building, and Traffic Services Department from the Bill Edwards Finance Center Building, and last but not least, the property maintenance from the old fire station property, which is located on Oaklawn Street. In March of 2022, the city advertised for construction of a new 5,500 square foot traffic facility, and the lowest bid was $962,220, which is about $175 a square foot. The high bid for that same project was $1.47 million, and which equates to $268 a square foot. In May of 2024, we advertised for the construction of a new 2,400 square foot stormwater facility and received one bid of $932,735, which equates to $388 a square foot. The purchase price for 900 Whittington will be $33.41 a square foot. With anticipated renovation costs, the city's investment would be approximately $127.27 a square foot for the 900 Whittington Avenue property, not including the land value of the 5.69 acres. An offer and acceptance has been signed by the city manager and the property owner in the amount of $525,000. Therefore, staff's recommendation is approve the purchase of the property in the amount of $525,000 plus title insurance and closing costs. Additionally, the approval of this purchase will also be approving a budget transfer from the general fund restricted funds, ARPA, for the $525,000 purchase price, and including additionally a title insurance and closing costs, and transferring it to the general fund.
Any questions of Denny? Director Beard?
Thank you, Mayor. Can you go over again what the, to move in the building, it has to be remodeled?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how much is that?
The estimated costs are around 1.4, I want to say, for all the work, being a new roof and new roof on certain outbuildings, new HVAC system, a new electrical service to the building that would get a disconnect outside the building instead of internally that would meet electrical code, replacing the ceiling tiles, the lighting, flooring, and painting of the walls. It's basically the renovations that would take place.
Okay.
Be like a new building when we got through.
A new building. Does the city ever consult with someone to see if this is a good bang for the buck? It's
We have.
available? You have?
We have.
Okay.
Yeah, the purchase price at $33 a square foot, I was comparing it to what we were looking at trying to build, and it's, 7 or 8, 9 times more per square foot.
We've had several visits, though, by mechanical companies to look at the HVAC. We've had Hill and Cox go through the building. We've looked at previous studies on the building when Weyerhaeuser looked at remodeling it themselves. So I think we've done a pretty good due diligence on the property, and for those that were interested, you were able to come and tour the facility, and I think you saw the value that we did as we went through that process. A lot of these departments that'll be consolidating, we currently pay rent for them to be there. This would, alleviate that in the future as well.
A copy of that report, Bill, will be in the packet as well.
Certainly.
Director Garcia?
Not a question, but just FYI, on the side of this building, between 900 Whittington and the back parking lot of 802 Whittington is a marker designating from the baseball trail.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
it marks where Babe Ruth hit his longest home run ever.
In your
Right.
packet, when they show the layout of the property, it shows where that field was located in
Right.
relation to this property.
There's a lot of history there.
It is.
573 feet.
Right.
First one
Right.
landed in the second pool of alligator farm.
Right.
Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Bill or Denny, there was another piece of property on the, I guess, the south side of Whittington. Is that included in this, or are we going to do that?
That is
as
not
well?
in this document, but that is moving through the approval process.
Okay. With Weyerhaeuser?
Mhm.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, you will have two public hearings that evening. They'll be in relation to two items on your agenda. The public hearing on the request to abandon and close undeveloped portion of Tyler Street located in the J.P. Mellard subdivision, as well as the abandon and close a certain unnamed alley located within the Block 2 of J.P. Mellard subdivision here in Hot Springs, Garland County. And those, like I said, would be items that will be coming up. Under your new business is considered Resolution R-24-183, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 807 School Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. And our Chief Building Official, Mike Scott, will present the item. Mike.
Thank you very much. The City of Hot Springs proposes condemnation for the purpose of demolishing and clearing a vacant single-family residential structure at 807 School Street. This structure was damaged by a fire that occurred in October of 2022. And due to the extensive damage caused by the fire and based on the requirements set forth in the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, Volume 2, Section 116, as well as the Hot Springs Property Maintenance Code, Section 111, it is determined that the structure poses a public health and safety risk and has been deemed unsafe for habitation. Notices of these proceedings were issued to both owners. This is in District 2. There are no back taxes and no liens on this property from the city. Now, I don't know if there's other ones yet, but not from the city, not.
Any questions of Mike? Director Beard?
Yes, do we know who caused the fire?
I do not. 807 School Street. No, ma'am, I do not.
So you can, will that be in our packet after you look, if you find anything? If you find anything,
I
will that
can-
be in
yeah.
our packet?
Yeah, Tom will look, and I guess if they found out, I'll let you know. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. What was that? Yeah, I would love that. And then also, since I've been in office, I recall, if I recall correctly, you've already taken down a house on School Street. So has it been 12 months? You can only take down one house per year on a street, is that correct?
Well, per block.
Per
Yeah.
block?
Yeah,
Well, it's only 2 blocks long, right?
yeah. But the other one, where did we take it down at, James?
I don't think we took it down. I think
The owner took that one down, that's right.
The owner?
Yeah, the owner took that one down because then they put a modular home in there, that's right.
The city's not tore down a house on School Street last year? Is
Not
that what
within
you're
the
saying?
last year. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any additional questions of Mike? Thank you.
Next, consider Resolution R-24-184, a resolution authorizing the raising of certain structures located at 846 Park Avenue pursuant to the Arkansas Code annotated 1456-203 and Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code and for other purposes. And our Planning and Development Director, Ms. Kathy Selman, will present. Kathy?
Thank you. The record owners of this property at 846 Park Avenue are John C. Montgomery and Deborah D. Cushing, who have owned the property since 1981. On September 17, 2024, City of Hot Springs Board of Directors passed Resolution Number 10512, declaring the structures located at 846 Park Avenue nuisances, deeming them unsafe for habitation due to the significant health and safety risks they propose, condemning them for abatement, and directing the city manager to engage a structural engineer to assess the integrity of the structures for a final determination on how to abate the nuisances. And I'm in the unfortunate position to have to tell you that due to the current condition of the residential structure, the Crafton Tull structural engineer's conclusion is that as a result of years of neglect, we unfortunately recommend full demolition of the Passmore house. So kind of let that sink in for a minute. Full demolition. Why full demolition? Because the owners, over the past 40 years, through their neglect, have already caused the structures considerable demolition already. The City of Hot Springs simply will clean up what the owners chose to allow Passmore House to become a decayed ruin. Beginning around 1996, the city's attempts to require maintenance of this grand home were actively rebuffed by the owner and the owner's legal representatives. Any fan of this old house or HGTV knows that a little paint goes a long way in protecting exposed surfaces. Crafton Tull's report contains many photos of Passmore House as of last week, and not much paint is evident there. So who really demolishes a structure when it's left to the elements for decades, whose formal gardens and yards are used as dumping grounds? Is it the city, who must now remove remnants of former beauty and community pride, along with vast mounds of discarded items? Or is it the owner, who abdicated responsibility for Passmore House many years ago? The property owners have been unwilling or unable to abate the nuisance by making the requisite repairs to stabilize and make safe the structures, and therefore the recommendation is to order the raising of the structures to abate the unlawful nuisances located at 846 Park Avenue. And I believe the structural engineer is present if you have specific questions about the findings.
Any questions of Kathy? Any questions of the structural engineer?
She had questions.
Director Beard?
It's my understanding we already voted to not condemn, so does this come up this early? That was last month. Do we wait 180 days, or what's the?
Yeah, you actually voted to condemn, but directed the city manager to engage the services of a structural engineer prior to making the ultimate decision as to what steps the board will now take to abate the nuisance that you condemned.
That was the second vote. So we've done two votes on this. The first vote was to not.
That is correct.
Condemn. So now this comes up again to condemn, so.
You've already, no, it came up the last time and you condemned. This is
And
whether or
that
not
was to?
This is whether or not it's going to be demoed or it's going to be secured in some fashion, which I understand after reading the report, there is no way to secure it.
And so this vote will be to demolish.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any additional questions of Kathy or the structural engineer?
I have a question.
Director Holliday?
So typically, an owner has 30 days, whenever this comes up. Will this also be afforded that 30 days? And at the end of the 30 days, based on the report, will this kind of make it to the top of the list? I know sometimes it takes us a minute to get through the list. Is this going to be fast-tracked based on its condition?
Well, there's no recommendation for emergency clause on the resolution.
Okay.
So the 30 days would apply.
Okay.
And at the end of that time, with no alternative, and an alternative could arise during the 30 days. With no alternative, we would proceed to competitively bid the demolition.
Okay, thanks.
Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. During that 30-day period, will the city be allowed to post that property or tape it off? I would hate for somebody to go in there and get injured or worse.
We can further post it, yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Director Beard?
So each time we've had this before us, someone comes at 4 o'clock and brings us information about this house. Did anyone see that person? Or do they leave the information with Sheila? Like, does anyone, you know how they bring us paperwork
They
to,
do. Mhm.
did anyone see them? Or, because someone out there cares about this house.
It's dropped off by the owner.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone saw the owner? I mean, do they look like they're going to?
I didn't speak with them. Somebody obviously saw them. If you, we'll discover who actually visually saw the person bring it in.
Are you talking about today?
No,
not
she's talking about the
today.
last
Yeah,
meetings, the
Last
last
time,
two
each time
times.
this come before us.
Yeah, but she's referring today. Did somebody come today?
Nobody came today.
Nobody came.
She delivered me some papers that I gave you last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
And she showed up, couldn't stay for the meeting, handed me the documents and said, would you make sure the board gets these? I said, I sure will.
And again, that was last week.
Yes.
Yes.
We have not seen or heard, I have not seen or heard from that person
Ms. Cushing.
since.
All right. Any further questions of Kathy? Thank you.
Next, we have item, this is your first ordinance of the evening. It's considered ordinance O-2431, an ordinance vacating, abandoning, and closing an unnamed alleyway located in Block 2 of J.P. Millard's Addition subdivision in Hot Springs, Garland County, Arkansas, and for other purposes. And again, City Clerk Morrissey will just present.
Thank you. The petitioner is Andrea Causey of Fortune Park LLC. She owns and operates Hot Springs Beauty College and is planning to develop on the buildable portion of her parcel, which encompasses 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. That is one parcel with 5 blocks. She's seeking to vacate the right-of-way that is highlighted here. It's kind of hard to see, but it's in the middle of her parcel because she does want to expand and build approximately a 40-foot by 40-foot facility for the beauty college with paved parking. The parcel is currently being used for overflow parking, but is not paved. City staff and utility providers have reviewed. There is nothing in this right-of-way to be noted. So if granted, she would have the full right-of-way would become part of her parcel.
Any questions of Harmony? Thank you.
Next item is ordinance O-2432, an ordinance vacating, abandoning, and closing an undeveloped portion of Tyler Street located in J.P. Millard's Addition subdivision, Hot Springs, Garland County, Arkansas, and for other purposes. And again, Ms. Morrissey.
Okay, this comes to us with the same plan. This is Ms. Causey with Brett Chancellor of On Our Own. On Our Own has the parcel next to it. So the highlighted portion of Tyler Street is what they seek to vacate. Oh, sorry. I hit it, but it didn't take. It's not taking. There we go. So sorry. So you can see the highlighted portion of Tyler Street that they seek to vacate is right here. There is a city line. You'll note in the green is a wastewater line located in the northern part of Tyler Street. They have executed an easement for the city for this portion. Entergy as well has some lines or some components at least located in the section of the right-of-way that would be on Our Own side. So On Our Own has executed an easement in their favor. No other issues have been noted with this. All the other statutory requirements have been met. So if vacated, this eastern portion would belong to On Our Own and the western portion would belong to Ms. Causey. Any questions? I'm happy to
Any
answer.
questions of Harmony on this item? Thank you.
Your final item is consider ordinance O-2433, an ordinance amending ordinance number 6499 as related to parking zones and rates and for the other purposes. Deputy City Manager Lance Spicer will present and discuss this item. Lance?
Thank you. This item comes before you as a request to amend your parking rate ordinance that was adopted just a few months back. Really what we're looking to do after hearing some public comment, public feedback from a couple presentations following the adoption of those parking rates was within your priority spaces. That's your downtown, Bathhouse Row, Central Avenue spaces. there was approximately 300 of those spaces, and they were set at a 2-hour maximum. So the feedback that we received was the 2 hours was insufficient for the patrons of the downtown. That is currently what is, the free spaces do have a 2-hour maximum, but what we are proposing is to extend that to 4 hours. And in doing so, the priority spaces will have a tiered rate. So it will maintain the $2 per hour for the first 2 hours. Then for your third hour, it will step up to $4 per hour. And your fourth hour will be $8 per hour. So if someone chooses to stay for the maximum amount of 4 hours, they will be billed a $16 for that convenience, that offering to stay for the full 4 hours. That was really some of the feedback that we received in those priority spaces, was to extend that parking session and have the ability to do it. Another portion that we've looked at, we're not adjusting anything with the secondary parking spaces. That's the vast majority of the downtown spaces. Those will remain $1 per hour. There will be no time limitations on those. The second amendment really to the parking rate that we're looking at deals with Washita Avenue. Washita Avenue in and itself is somewhat different from what we previously listed as a priority spaces. So that was really this tiered rate. I don't know that it really works on Washita Avenue. What we're looking to do is maintain Washita Avenue. There's approximately probably 75 to 85 spaces in that corridor. It's a linear district. Would be to have those at $2 per hour with no time limitations. So those are kind of two of the big changes to the parking rate zone map. One other thing that we're looking at deals with those construction permits. Whenever you have roll-off boxes, HVAC contractors, etc. Our permits were based on an older, longer ago parking rate. So obviously with these adjusted rates, we're looking to adjust those permit fees as well. Currently, those are $2 per space per day. So obviously, that's a very good deal in today's time. But with the existing rates that we have, we're looking to have the priority spaces at the maximum daily rate. So if you are placing a roll-off box in 2 or 3 spaces, obviously we're not going to be able to have turnover and generate that revenue. That maximum daily rate would be calculated at $32 per space per day. Now those are reviewed and approved by city staff so that we don't obviously take up the vast majority of the parking downtown with for construction activity. Now if you're in the secondary spaces, the maximum daily rate will be $12 for the day. Secondary, as I said, that's the vast majority of the parking downtown. But those are some of the adjustments that we're looking to make with as far as the parking rates. And of course, there will be a map within your packet that will have the color coordinated priority zone, the Washita priority zone, secondary. And of course, we're not making any adjustments to the employee parking program. That is the parking rates. They're allowed to use the secondary parking spaces. That is at a 75% discount as approved by the board.
And there are many unregulated spots in those areas. We did find a couple of streets off of Washita that weren't ticked for parking, so we've identified those. A lot of those are ticked from back when we discussed this before, and we went through, and when I say tick, it's actually putting marks on the ground so it delineates the parking space. So you're actually in a space as you go down that street. There were a couple off Washita that weren't ticked and didn't have spaces identified, so we'll be ticking those before we start this process.
Any questions of Lance?
Just want to point out something real quick. If you'll pull up that map again. For those of you who may have focused in on the small print in the lower right-hand corner, this was a preliminary map that was really only finalized today, and so we're still working on it. I don't want you to be surprised next week or when you get your packet. In the legend at the bottom, when I look really, really close, it says $2 per hour. That's not really right. That's the area that's 2248. So that's just an abbreviation I'm hoping there, but that'll be corrected for your final packet. It is a 4-hour time limit, but it's not just $2 an hour.
Very good. Any further questions or clarification? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, that completes your item for your October 15th meeting.
All right, very good. So, again, these items will be formally addressed next Tuesday evening, beginning at 6 PM right here at City Hall. We're going to have a work session here in a minute, so we're going to change over some technology and start the work